All right, what's going on, world? What's going on, Facebook? Everybody checking us on LesserVisionLive.com. It's your boy, Jay DeCosta.
It's your girl, Katniss.
And I'm the one and only Tay Jordan.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. So glad to have Tay in the building with us. Aww. But we be missing you, you know?
I miss you guys, too, man. It's been just way too long. I miss you guys. I'm happy to be back, for sure.
Yeah. This is dope. And then, like, just in time, you know, for a hot show. Last week, anybody tuned in? That was a dope show too. Talking about, you know, nigger, however people use the word and how they feel about it.
If you haven't watched,
yo, you needed to be here for that one, young. Like those opinions, you should just do like a quick video telling people your opinions on that, like for real, like because it's needed. So, but anyways, we gonna like hop into the show real quick. We got a special guest with us today, Devlin Watkins. So glad to have him here. We actually kind of met each other on a professional level and was able to kind of connect. On some things we do outside of our 9 to 5, so that's dope. But Devlin was born and raised in Santa Monica, California, migrated to D.C. at the age of 15, attended Johnson and Wales University, also attended Old Dominion. Veteran of the United States Coast Guard, did 8 years in there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's dope. Currently working for a large nonprofit here in the D.C. area and has dedicated his free time to encouraging and inspiring our young African-American children. So, and that's dope. And we need more men, especially, working in that capacity, so we really appreciate the work you're doing in the community. Is dope. You know, we're just really happy to have you on. We're going to have that conversation today of never forget. You know, when you think 9/11, everybody says never forget, but there's some things in our community we can't forget. This conversation kind of started, we kind of talked about it amongst ourselves in the nitty gritty, but then me and Devlin got to talking about this. And he's like, yeah, it'd be dope to have that conversation. So we're happy to do that. And we're going to talk about, never forgetting some of our cities, never forgetting our fallen, our slain, and never forgetting some of these movements that we've started. And they get hot for a moment, and then they kind of fizzle out. So we're going to get into that. But before we get there, got to give out a to hell with and these blessing twos. Quick to hell with people who criticize but don't contribute, but still want to complain. So you want to diss somebody's business, you want to diss what somebody's doing, but you ain't putting no money towards a cause. Shut up. All right? I mean, pretty simple. Like, not even trying to mince my words. Shut up. You ain't putting no money down. You ain't out there marching. You ain't out there knocking. You ain't out there voting. Shut up, because you ain't doing nothing about it. So people who criticize but don't put no money down or no work down. Blessings, too. Quick blessings to Earl Hyman. Passed away today at the age of 91. For y'all that don't know, he was the father on the Bill Cosby Show. Also did the voice of Panther on the Thundercats. I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so I was like, yo, that's kind of dope. So yeah, blessings to that family. He passed away. He was a great actor. Also, blessings to all these Thanksgiving meals on the way.
Ooh,
man,
thank you, God.
I got a little debate going on my page about the best sides. Everybody knows it's the mac and cheese. So really excited about that coming. So and blessings to it.
I'm going to just say we're going to have to pray over the Judy spirits because God knows I have a Judy spirit in me. I got to pray over it.
Yeah, you're going to be getting that eat on.
And then, you, Judy. Tie it up. Bind it.
Also, one other quick blessing to street performers. I've been so inspired by some of the videos I see on Facebook sometimes. They're street performers, and these guys are really talented out here. Big shout out to one of our own in D.C., Kenny Sway. Beast, really talented.
Yeah, shout
and
out.
He's gone viral a bunch of times. So, Kenny, when you coming on the Nitty Gritty Show, bruh? Or any street performers out there, you think you hot or, you like what you're doing, hit up the Nitty Gritty Show so we can try to look at getting you on or trying to advance your platform, all right? That's what we here for, to help our own and get down to the nitty gritty of our talents, right?
Word.
So, yeah, hit us up. And then, of course, we got the blackjuice.com.
Yes, sir.
That's a whole other form of putting yourself out on a platform. So, y'all need to get at us, all right? So, definitely blessings to them. But we don't want to waste no time today. We want to get straight into this conversation of never forgetting. I have a quick video I want to play that kind of kick this off. And then after that, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. Jay, can you play that first video for me? That 9/11 joint? So that was a promo the Navy did, and yeah, And not just them, but we seen the Budweiser commercials at the Super Bowl. Countless time, everybody's always telling you, never forget. Always remember September 11th, and that's crazy. And it's sad too, because more so than them not just forgetting that there was a terrorist attack. I think if more than anything, it's created Islamic phobia. We see it in the movies, we see it in the media, we see how they're treated, how people with names from the Middle East are treated in the airports. So I don't know how productive that whole never forget has been, considering the turn that it's taken on society. But there's definitely some things that shouldn't be forgotten in our community. And we're breaking it down to 3 categories, but it's so broader than this. I have to break it down to maybe our cities, our slain and fallen, our movements and their meanings. And I guess the question I want to first bring out to you guys is, why do you think it seems that we are so quick to forget things that affect our communities, the things that are important to us? Devin, I'll start with you.
All right. It's just the way we've been programmed. I mean, throughout history, we've been taught to not remember where we've been or where we come from. It's easier for us to not remember the things that brought us to these places. You figure the transatlantic slave trade. It's easy to forget that. But you have the, Holocaust. And it's easy for them to talk about it, and everybody get upset or frustrated or be offended when you bring that up. But when you bring up slavery, it's, that happened.
Yeah.
Get over it. That my parents weren't part of that. You weren't part of that. Why is it? Why is it okay to forget my history, but it's okay to remember yours? That's how we've been taught. We've been taught to forget where we come from. And you think about it, Black history we're not telling our stories, because our stories have been lost in that ocean. You know what I'm saying? With our ancestors thrown at the bottom of that in shackles, hung from trees. We forget all that because that's what they want us to do. And the more we grow up and don't teach our children or teach our youth about the strength of our history, it's always going to be easy for them to forget. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, definitely. How about you, Tay? Because I saw you about to chime in there.
No, just to piggyback off what he said, I definitely agree. I think that we kind of been conditioned from babies on up to it's the thing for us to not be in tune with our history. Malcolm X said a quote. I don't want to misquote exactly what he said, but if I could just paraphrase a bit, he said something of the nature like, "You can't expect your oppressors to be responsible for educating you." I think we have to be able to. We got to understand that they're not going to. If it was up to them, we wouldn't have our identity. We wouldn't know our history. So we got to take responsibilities on ourselves to, doing this self-research, doing the digging, and as sad as it is, it's just reality of the situation. Like, we cannot depend on others to tell us where we're from, what we went through, what experiences we lived through or survived through. It's unfortunate, and you're right. It's shoved down our throats as far as never forget 9/11, never forget the Holocaust. But when it's something that we've experienced, it's like, oh, well, get over it. It's like, oh, well, you don't live through that now. Well, I really can't tell, you know what I'm saying? Because if you ask me, I believe the badge is just another form of the hood, to be real. But yeah, it's complex, and it's unfortunately it's not fair, it's not right, but it's reality. So,
Kat?
I agree with them, but to me, the more important question is why are we able to forget? And I feel like the reason why we're able to forget is because we don't really embrace our history the way we should. For example, people who are African that come over here as kids, they're called African booty scratcher. They're
called that.
They talk about your accent, not all the time, but these are some of the stories that I hear out, from young kids. Like, oh, when I was African growing up in America, in the school system it was rough. They didn't want to know about my heritage and culture, and in turn, those kids felt like I can't be comfortable with who I am, or the fact that our history is taught that Africa is a country and not a continent. So I think that as a people, going back to what he said, A, we need to start teaching our kids, but also B, we need to start taking ownership into understanding who we are. We're coming from West Africa. What does that mean? Am I from Ghana? Am I from Nigeria? Like, asking those questions, getting in touch with those traditions, supporting things that are encompass African culture, as opposed to just, sitting back and adopting what is American culture. And essentially, American culture is nothing but white culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though we created the culture. Like, one thing that people seem to forget is that rock and roll, blues, even a lot of your folk music, that came from us. You know, like we don't just need to take ownership just of, you know, R&B, soul, hip hop. I mean, really, when you think of it all, like those guys that came in, the European invasion, before the European invasion happened, the American black invasion happened in Europe with our artists. And then they got a hold of their sound and was like, yo, and then brought that same thing back. And we celebrate the Beatles to this day. But they'll tell you their influences were Muddy Waters and all those guys that came over there to Europe. They were impressed by them. They were impressed by the people that inspired Elvis and all that, you know, like Little L and I think it's Little Dicky and all those guys. Like they were inspired by them, Etta James, and then they heard that music, they loved it, and then they brought it back. But we celebrate them. We call Elvis the king of rock and roll, but something that, you know, he stole. And then I guess one question that I have to ask before we start breaking down to some of these categories is, why is it that we forget these things and we look for everybody else to come fix our issues? I think sometimes we kind of drop it. We like, yeah, we'll put up a quick post. Maybe I'll say something. I'll wear a button, take a picture. And then I'm going to wait for the government, who's been ignoring us this whole time, who's orchestrated half of these issues themselves, and we sitting on their plate just to wait for them to do it for us.
Yeah, you know what? If I had the answers, I'd be a billionaire right now. I wish I had the answer. But I feel like it's something that's been going on generation after generation after generation. And I think that we as a people, and I don't want to make broad generalizations, but I will make a broad generalization here. I think as a whole, massively, we just lack the together and unity that is, I think it takes and what's needed to, like, you know, fix our own issues and resolve our own issues. I think that a lot of times, like a lot of people would say, well, the system isn't working. The system is set up for us to fail. You have to understand that, yes, the system is set up for you to fail, so therefore it's working quite effectively. Like, we can't go to our oppressor and expect, oh man, can you let off my neck just a little bit? Can you not shoot me? Can you not kill me? At the end of the day, and I'm not saying you meet violence with violence, but maybe this time we change the narrative a bit instead of doing this, you know, by any, this non-violent, turn the other cheek. I believe all black people needs to be strapped. I believe black people need to have, like, sometimes you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. And at the end of the day, we need to have some together and unity among ourselves. Like, as long as the house is divided, we're never going to stand. And we're never going to get ahead. So instead of us looking for the system and looking to other cultures to help us get our shit together, we need to take care of homes first, and nothing is going to change until you take care of home first.
Absolutely.
So,
and if I could actually challenge that thought for a minute, I mean, granted, we shouldn't match violence with violence, but Malcolm X said by any means necessary. And I think it's high time that we as a community take that in all seriousness.
We got to have some backbone.
You know what I mean? Because if we sit back and watch our oppressors keep putting their, you know, foot on our necks, and, you know, five quick names: Philando Castile, Tamir Rice, Eric Garner. If we keep Sandra Bland, if we keep allowing them to put their foot on our neck and not stand up against them, then they're gonna keep doing it. This is patty rollers from the 1900s. They're hunting us down in droves, and they don't care how they do it. They don't care because they know that we're gonna get mad. We're gonna have Black Lives Matter. We're gonna stand up. We're gonna argue. We're gonna fuss. We're gonna march. They know that.
Honestly, I'm
do
all
that.
marched out.
Yeah.
I'm all protest out. Like,
it's time we start marching. We got to start putting our fists in the air. We got to start putting our foot down and saying, listen, you're not going to come into my communities. Unless you change the way you police me, then and only then will I change the way I react to you.
Like, when I got back home this past Thursday, and I was coming into DCA, and it was like all these brothers in suits and bow ties and stuff. I'm like, who the heck is these guys? I mean, they was getting in black cars. They was like assembled, and like it was like maybe about 50 brothers and sisters. And the sisters had on their headgear. I was like, oh, this is the Nation of Islam. And I was like, you know, granted, you know, I will educate myself a little bit more on it. But from what I do know, some things I don't necessarily agree with the Nation of Islam, but it's some things that I do love about the Nation of Islam. And I just was like, the way that they assemble, the way that they have unity, the way that they, you know, they got a system that works effectively for them. And it's like, that's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? So if, as a whole, I'm not saying it has to be the Nation of Islam, but if black people as a whole can have some type of togetherness like they do, And it's just like,
It'd be ridiculous.
Man,
It'd
what?
be crazy what we could do.
oh boy.
Even with togetherness, I also feel like if we educated ourselves, right? Because at the end of the day, when it comes to policing, when it comes to police brutality, you got to have people in place who can be legislators to change the system. We keep saying, voting doesn't matter, but the reality is the reason why they're able to do what they can do is because the laws protect them. And many of us don't show up to the polls. When I just looked, I think they said across the nation, I think the average was maybe like 30%. Voted in the primaries.
And that's my thing about voting. I understand, everybody should vote, right? But I still think that's kind of going along the lines of the same narrative that I preach against, as far as we can't expect for the system, us getting out to vote and going to these polls is still trying to work within a system that was never meant to work for us. So it's I feel like that's kind of productive as well. We can say oh, go vote for Hillary, or go vote for, we voted for Barack Obama. I'm sorry, but what really changed for us?
But I will have to say with the voting, and when it comes to being engaged on this topic, voting is a part of it, but it's not just voting. And we've had countless politicians on this show, and also activists and people who are been, involved in the community, disruptors and such like. They all agree that we need to vote. The key is we can't expect to vote on a macro level to fix micro problems. For instance, we got Will Jawando right now running out there in Montgomery County at large. We got Robert White in office. We got McDuffie getting ready to go on another re-election cycle. These are the kind of people we need to keep in because they are tied to the community. They do understand our needs. We need to make sure that we're voting in those polls. We can actually vote for judge. We can vote for sheriff. We don't do that. So that's a part of engaging. I think it's levels to it, right? We can't expect someone to pick up a gun and fire the right way if you can't even do the one thing that doesn't even require a gun, which is go out there and vote. If you can't do the little things, and we've seen 49% of the nation did not take part in the last election. So if they didn't take part in the national election, they didn't take part in the smaller elections. And there's a lot being missed there. And it kind of leads me to another discussion about cities, right? And this is one of the kind of taglines we want to jump on. And just to throw out a couple of stats out there, you look at Detroit, St. Louis, Flint, Memphis, a lot of these places, Camden, New Jersey, these are black cities. They've been our cities for as long as we know them. But sometimes 32%, almost 42% of the residents there are living below the poverty line. And we know that's our people. And two things you see in a lot of these cities when you do the research, and I got stats on all of them. One is that the opportunities there, they're just not there, right? So people are drawn to street culture to make money because they see that as the only means of making money because the jobs are not there. And there's disparity in this education system to keep people out of certain types of jobs, even on the trade level. And then another thing we see as a result of that is all this violence. So what happens is the white media or politicians at times, they focus just on the fact of the violence, but they don't start looking at the root of why the violence is happening in these cities. Is it because black people are animals? No. It's because you're not trying to provide for them the basic rights that all citizens have. And, and I don't want to jump ahead, but it's kind of like the crack epidemic. No one said over those 2 decades, let's look at the root of the crack, where it's coming from, not who's distributing it in the local community, where it's really coming from, and let's look at these generation of kids and how we could really help them as a result of crack plaguing their society. No one ever said that. But the second that it hit white America, even the white poor, they said, "Oh Lord, we got an opioid crisis. Let's fix this. Let's get these people in hospitals. Let's take care of them." And
let's not lock them up. Let's get them help.
Right.
And it's sad because, like I said, we're talking never forget. And it's sad, New Orleans happened. They still have an issue. They still haven't recovered yet from Katrina. You have Flint, Michigan still has bad water, right? And you have Memphis still has a crime issue that they haven't solved. We have all these issues in these cities, but yet and still, we forgot to pick up the mantle and say anything. We don't show up to vote. We don't try to hold anybody accountable. We don't even try to police ourselves. It's we just forgot overnight. Right. And why is it that we just kind of abandon our cities like that?
But we could, I think we could, if we decide collectively on a mass level to do a demonstration. If we were to all say we're going to not watch cable television for a week until you give Flint, Michigan clean water, guaranteed there's gonna be clean water.
You
But
see what's
we
been
never
happening with the NFL
sacrifice.
protests.
Exactly. We don't want to
The
sacrifice.
NFL's been hurting with people protesting. They have. Numbers is down. It's been working.
They have, but you still got your very own. I ain't about to that don't really affect me. I'm about to still go home and watch my football. And it's like, sir,
I'ma
it
drink
does.
my glass
It
of
does
water.
affect you. I don't know why people don't get it. They don't get it. And it's
right.
easy to sit at home and protest and not watch TV or not watch the NFL. These are easy demonstrations that we absolutely know will cause change because money's associated to it.
No,
Absolutely.
you know what? And I talk about this with my friends all the time. And this is something I challenge black people on all the time. As much as we like to point the finger to our oppressors and know that the system is set up for us to fail, this is true. Black people, a lot of times, we don't have jobs. Sometimes the things this stacks against us. I understand it, but at the same time, we have to challenge ourselves to do better in terms of, like you were saying, with the boycott and the protesting and stuff. Like, we just got to get our values and our priorities in order. Like, when people be like, we so quick to turn the other cheek when it's not, I guess, close to home. It's not, it's not Uncle Ray Ray or it's not some Junior or somebody like that close to us. Like, it's like, well, that shit happens, and that's unfortunate. We can't be like that. It matters. Like, everybody is 6 degrees separation. We gotta, and that starts with us. We gotta be able to be like, this is my brother. I don't know you from a can of paint, but we from the same hue. You my brother. I care for you like I care for my blood brother. You my sister. I care for you like I care for my blood sister. But not enough of us. We just don't give a damn, and that's just is what it is. And I don't know how we could change that. I don't know if we need to go, educate ourselves and read and love ourselves. But it's us. I just keep saying, I can't say this enough. As much as we can point the finger, and justifiably so, we also got to point a finger right back at ourselves because we just do not. It's the disconnect that we have with each other. That's why it's so easy and so quick for us to kill each other. Like, it's screwed up, but it's real. And I do not have the answer as to how that could change. I don't know if it's a lack of hopelessness in these inner cities. I'm from the hood. I'm from the inner city. Like, I got hope, but I don't know what is going on in so-and-so's home and going on in his head or her head that just have such a low quality of life and value of the next person's life, or lack of value for your own life. I don't know.
And actually, to go back to what Juan was saying, talking about voting and getting back into the communities and looking at it on a smaller scale, it's that a lot of us don't. Like you said, we don't get out there and vote, and instead of getting involved in the local communities, we give up. We say, you know what, this person ain't gonna do nothing for us. They really not thinking about me. And we're not thinking about the next person. You think back 1921, the race riots in Detroit, the MOVE organization, a great big organization trying to make change in that community.
Yep.
And we keep talking about 9/11. We keep saying, oh, that was the worst, terrorist attack on our soil. No, 1921, the race riots, the police dropped bombs on us.
Yeah.
Like we were
Bombed
nothing.
the whole city.
Bombed the whole city. 11 people died, 250 people left homeless. And Detroit to this day is still, disadvantaged. Don't nobody think about that. They're like, oh, well, 9/11 was so bad and, we lost so many. Nah. We lost way more than that when you took away our homes, when you took away Greenwood, Black Wall Street.
Right.
We had banks. We had hospitals. We had things to be self-sufficient and, strive on our own.
But you know what though? Our issues is black issues. Our issues is not American issues, and that's the issue as well.
True.
Like 9/11, that's an American issue. Like, all of this is American issues.
Yeah.
Like, and half the time America is the culprit. Like, domestic terrorism is a whole nother thing, but nobody want to call that by its name.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
When it affects us.
And then the thing is, and I'm happy that you brought up Detroit, and Tay, I'm happy what you brought up about too, because what people don't realize is that history, and in ourselves, we don't teach our history correctly. Like, when you ask people why is DC in the shape it's in, first thing we say is, well, when MLK died, we destroyed it. What we don't talk about, though, is that there were neighborhoods in D.C. that white people hated on and destroyed. Some of our most affluent neighborhoods here in this city, white people came and destroyed because they couldn't stand to see us doing so well during segregation. Literally, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Chicago, Rosewood, Knoxville, Tennessee, New York City, East St. Louis, Atlanta. And then that's just to name your top 8 where hundreds of people lost their lives during those riots, or during white people hunting us down, killing us by the hundreds. Right. Literally in New York City, they locked up hundreds of black people, kept them out their jobs for over 8 days over race riots, over some stuff that white people started. But then what we teach our kids and what our parents have taught us, because they don't know any better sometimes too, is, oh yeah, we destroyed it when MLK died. We were so mad. We threw bricks through our own windows. Even when you watch television, that's the narrative shown. But very rarely do you have movies like Detroit where they show you, nah, man, white folks came in that mug and destroyed it themselves. They turned it into what looks like a third world country right now. And we have to teach both parts of history. We have to teach first, there's been a system out there that really has held us back, and we're not going to forget, and we're not going to discount, and we're not going to be lenient in our judgment of that. That was horrible. You guys sought out to destroy us, and people don't want to hear that because it's uncomfortable. But you're going to be uncomfortable today if you tune into this show, and we're going to keep on reposting it, boosting it, reposting it, boosting it to keep on making you uncomfortable. You're going to learn. Never forget. So it's important that we keep on bringing that out there, and it's sad that we only teach half of it, and I think we just need to teach the whole. Yes, we're not loving each other because we have black candidates out there locally that we can go out there and support. But because we're so mad at the whole system, we take it out on the Will Jawandos and the Robert Whites and the Trayon Whites of the world that are doing a good work right here.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Because there's been a couple, like, look at Harold Ford Jr. He could have been like the next big thing in Congress and in the Senate. But everybody was so focused on, well, his uncle and his aunt was corrupt. So here was a man who never had a chance to really make a huge change in Tennessee or Memphis because he got blackballed because of his family. And it was us. It wasn't even the white people that came for him. It was black folks saying, oh, I ain't dealing with her for doing his father. Like, really? Right. I said it in my DC voice, his father. Sorry, his father. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we do about that?
Yeah. But I also think, too, that sometimes there's only so few of black representation that when we do say, man, they all the same, they can't even do the effective change they want to do, i.e. Barack Obama, because there's just so few. But if you flood the system, like let's say, for instance, we identify 5 kids in each impoverished area. We know they have good grades, and as a community, we support them and say, you know what, you need to become a lawyer, or you need to become a judge, or you need to become a politician for our community because you are the voice of reason. And we protect those kids, and we create pathways, support them to make sure that they go all the way to the top to come back and reform change in our communities. I feel like it could be a solution that could be helpful. But the problem is, what happens is when you identify those kids that seem like they have hope or they have promise or future, you got people who be like, you think you better than me. You think your kid is better than my kid. And they get them caught up in some whatever foolishness. And then the dreams become, they're in jail or what so have you. I mean, these are just solutions. I don't know if they can work, but I do feel like we need to start having people who are going to say, you know what, I don't want to be a ball player. I don't want to necessarily be, a rapper, but I want to be a politician for my community. That is my sole goal and purpose, is to come back in my community and be the politician and create, pathways for kids.
So do you think the number one answer and the number one solution is becoming a politician?
It's not the only solution, but it's part of the whole solution. And it works because when you look at the history of the gangs that came out of Chicago, they weren't about banging on each other. Like, what gangs are shameful right now in Chicago where they're at, because Gangsta's Disciples and Black People Nation, all that stuff that got popped off there, they actually had organizations. They put on their own balls. These people had community drives. They had turkey drives, and they weren't funded by drug money. These people were like extensions of what the Black Panther movement was. But we don't teach that. We just say, oh, a gangster is somebody whose pants are sagging and he's rocking a black flag. Right. But they don't even know what that black flag came from in its inception, right? But politicians came and got involved in that because they understood that, hey, what these gangs are doing, what the folk gang is doing, is actually going to draw unity. So they wanted to stop that. That's why we know it works. And if we see something work, and then because it was destroyed by one group, we just give up. But we shouldn't give up. You got to keep on doing it. The way to lose weight is watch what you eat and lift weights. Why would you stop because you got mad that someone cut your gym membership? So you going to stop working out? No, we know that's the answer, so keep on doing it. We just got to keep on trying. That's part of fighting, not just grabbing a gun and busting on some white boys. Like, part of fighting is, like, even though they disrupt maybe everything we put together, we got to keep on putting it back to make it work again.
Absolutely. It's just being that voice. We talk about the politicians, the businessmen. It's about more having that voice and teaching that next one, hey, this is who we are. This is what you were. This is what we can be. And if we teach them about the Black Panthers, the Black guerrilla families, we teach them about what the essence of those gangs were and say, listen, it wasn't about getting that money. It wasn't about trapping in the next neighborhood. It was literally about building your community so that we didn't have to depend on a system that was never meant for us to partake in the first place.
That's right.
We get them to understand that, and we understand where we come from, we change our mentality, man, these black kids can take off. These black youth can change the face of DC and every other city. But it's changing that mindset. And it's not going to come from a politician. It's not going to come from a government official. It's not going to come from nobody but our community. And, you know, I say that because I have a dear friend of mine. And, you know, I'm going to give him a quick plug. Sorry about this, y'all. But his name's Dr. Eric Motley. He wrote a book, Madison Park. This brother's from Alabama. Grew up poor. Adopted, but four elder women took him in. He went from, I'm gonna tell a story shamelessly, from a rabbit to a turtle in his reading. And you're like, oh, rabbits are the best. Now you got demoted to a turtle. But those 4 women took this brother in and invested their time to get him back to rabbit status. From there, he went to be on the Bush administration, to study in Scotland, to become one of DC's greatest socialites.
That's what's up.
You see what I'm saying? And it's because those 4 women, Madison Park, took time to invest in this brother. If we took time out, you know, you're a great college educated man. I'm sure all of you are. If we took those times out just to reinvest in those kids that we see struggling, because the school systems are going to say, well, you know, they got ADHD, or they got this problem or that problem. But nah, it's just they have a curious mind and don't know where to put that energy. We show them where to put that energy and to refocus what, you know, where they're going, and we blow the door open. But the problem is we're so worried about us. We're looking for the government to give us something. They're not giving us nothing. They're going to lock us up every chance they get. They're going to look at it, oh, nope. You have something I want, I'm going to take it from you. But I'm not going to, like, look at it right now. Marijuana booming. We was getting locked up back in the day for carrying a nickel bag.
Right.
But now you tell me these white boys can run around, open these dispensaries, and make billions of dollars, but I can't make $100 off of 5 nicks? Come on, man.
Man, preach.
Right.
And look, because this is good, and I'm gonna cut to a quick video because I want to do a quick reminder. Yeah, we play 9/11 just to kind of get the conversation going. But let's play this video again. It's on my shirt. Say their names, and we're gonna mention kind of them. Can you play that quick video for me real quick? Well, it's not exactly quick, but it's a good video.
As the verdict approaches for Darren Wilson, the Ferguson, Missouri police officer who shot and killed 18-year-old Michael Brown, the city continues to protest what they argue to be an unfair, trigger-happy police force and a war zone reaction to civilian protests. Unfortunately, this is far from the first time we've heard this story in America. Los Angeles, 1991. Rodney King, a 25-year-old black man, refuses to pull over after he's flagged for speeding. After a high-speed chase, 4 police officers surround him and severely beat him. Security footage sparks mass public outrage. Despite that, all 4 officers are acquitted of excessive force charges, and residents riot in South Central LA, causing millions of dollars in damage, thousands of injuries, and 53 deaths. New York, 2006. Sean Bell is drunk at his bachelor party. After an altercation outside a nightclub is misinterpreted by police, Bell and 2 friends are shot 50 times, killing Bell and severely injuring the others.
Oh, Sean Bell, NYPD,
Mass protests follow, and despite outcry, all officers tried for the shooting are acquitted. San Francisco, 2009. Oscar Grant is involved in a drunk scuffle on a BART train late on New Year's night. Police respond and detain Grant and several friends. An unarmed Grant resists his subduer, despite being kept prone. An officer on the scene shoots him in the back, in front of dozens of witnesses, some of whom are videotaping the incident. Grant dies in the hospital a few hours later. The community immediately galvanizes to demonstrate against the police's conduct. The officer serves 2 years in prison and is now out on parole. The events inspired the 2013 film Fruitvale Station. Sanford, Florida, 2012. 17-year-old Trayvon Martin is walking home from a convenience store. Neighborhood watch coordinator George Zimmerman believes Martin looks suspicious. After he calls the police, Zimmerman approaches Martin. The 2 struggle, and Zimmerman fatally shoots and kills the unarmed teenager. Protests spread across the country, with figures like Al Sharpton and President Obama lending their voices in disdain for Florida's Stand Your Ground laws, which to this date have not been changed.
I just ask people to consider, if Trayvon Martin was of age and armed, could he have stood his ground on that sidewalk?
Ferguson, Missouri, 2014. Michael Brown and a friend are walking in the middle of the street. Officer Darren Wilson orders Brown and his friend off the street. A struggle ensues through the officer's truck's window, and a gunshot sends Brown running. Wilson pursues and shoots Brown 6 times. Protests, both violent and peaceful, erupt in Ferguson. Eventually, police deploy in military fashion, using non-lethal beanbag rounds to control protests and injuring several children in the process. Federal and state governments decide to take a second look at the over-militarization of police. Brown's death and the resulting chaos in Ferguson are milestones in the momentum these cases have gained. Outcry is louder on both sides, and while the government pledges to consider reform to police policy and state law, it seems like these stories have become depressingly predictable.
If a white male teen was involved in the same kind of scenario, that from top to bottom, both the outcome and the aftermath might have been different.
How many more times can the country withstand a tragic shooting, a muddy trial?
So, how long, like the video ended on, like, how long are we going to keep on taking these deaths? On this shirt alone, I got about 22 names. But as we were talking while we were having the video playing, there's been countless names that haven't made it to the media. And, what we continue to see these commissioners and these chiefs and these sheriffs say is that it's a training issue, but this is not a training issue. This is a matter of systematic racism and prejudice in American iconology. We had Tim Wise to talk about American iconology and how it helps force racial prejudice amongst people of darker hues or black people, just to keep it simple. And I guess the thing I have for just us as people is, how can we forget a life so fast? I mean, yeah, I know that's not my cousin. I don't find any family trace to Trayvon.
And like I said before, like, I challenge us to have some type of backbone. Like, we such in a selfie phase, a microwavable phase. Here today, going tomorrow, new topic tomorrow, something to talk about Tuesday. We put on our pins, we make our statuses, we do our tweets. Then it's a new tragedy or something. We talking about some Jay-Z, Beyonce stuff on Thursday. It's just, it's sad, and I think it's just so disheartening to know that we're like that.
Yeah.
Like, I just said when the video was playing, like, how is it that George Zimmerman, it's been 4 years or something?
Yeah.
Like that? How is he still walking around like ain't nobody took this
and
dude
calling out
out
celebrities for basketball games? Like, it's just like,
nobody took
Wasn't
this
he like in a
dude
boxing
out.
match?
Nah, we ain't get
he was
angry
trying
enough.
to do one.
All
We ain't
these
get angry
officers, and I'm not saying, like, it may come across like I'm saying eye for an eye, but I mean, people do to you what you would allow.
Absolutely.
And I'm just, we happen to be a part of a race that's just like,
That allows a lot.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
a lot.
Too docile.
We're
Very
too quick to
docile.
forgive.
Shout out
You know
to
what I'm saying?
you, God
And
rest his soul.
absolutely. And that's the thing. We're so quick. We are the only race of people that are so quick to forgive. Like, even right now as we speak, Juan, you said white people this, white people that. And a part of me is like, well, damn, should we really be saying white people? Nah, maybe we should just kind of be easy with that. We're quick to do that.
We gotta
When in
be
reality is,
neutral and
nah,
indifferent.
we shouldn't be neutral and different. We shouldn't be inclusive. We shouldn't feel like we owe them an apology. You owe me an apology. Because my dark skin isn't your fear.
We gotta make
But
them
you make me
comfortable.
feel like I have to make you comfortable with me being black.
Yeah.
Nah, I should be making you comfortable.
And people teach us this respectability politics. I can't stand it. Even at Howard University, the Mecca, like, come on, man, you killing me. Like, all of this that we teach our kids, that we teaching our young people coming up, going into professions, like, I understand, like, just code switch and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, even like with the police officers, like, as black people, I'm sure black parents has had this talk with their kids to talk, and it's like, why we got to go out of our way to make others and even police officers comfortable? Like,
Because that's massive.
I'm uncomfortable as hell. Just waking up black, like, shit is uncomfortable because I
Talk about
know
it.
how others perceive me. Like, it's
I'm gonna
ridiculous.
be a devil's advocate here and just ask the question: do you think there are opportunities where we can, for example, you say, for instance, you in college, you got a white roommate, right? And she's like, "Why do you wash your hair like every day?" Some people get so offended with those questions. They be like, "That's racist. She just want to be nosy." But I feel like sometimes in those kind of instances, not that I'm giving a pass, I'm just saying opportunities where we can, because I don't want to go out of my way to make you feel uncomfortable. But if someone asks me about, why do I wash my hair every day, or they ask me about, black people, obviously I can't speak for all black people, but I do think it's an opportunity to
I'm not
to
even looking for those
teach.
opportunities, though. Like, if I answer a question, I answer a question. If not, it's my prerogative as well. Like, I'm not Like,
Right.
it's not-
I guess what I'm saying is if we always get easily offended every time somebody does ask us questions about our people, then all they're going to know is what the media is telling them, as opposed to you're asking me an informative question. So I'm going to be serious with you and break it down and give you the history lessons to black people. Not saying we owe it to them, but I'm just wondering, I'm playing devil's advocate.
But I think
Can
that
those
is kinda
conversations
saying you
help?
owe it to them. Like I don't have to prove my humanity to you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it ain't shit for you to question it.
Why do I got to get you to understand me when I done never had to understand you?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what
I
it
do
is.
I do understand that. I don't think that I should have to go out of my way to understand you, but I feel like
And I'm not even
I feel like
concerned with you for real. That's my thing.
no, I understand what you're saying, but I feel like I'm the kind of person where it's like, okay, if we're going in a cycle and we keep saying, what do I have to do this? What do I have to do this? I don't think we necessarily have to, but I feel like somebody somewhere has to.
It always got to be us. That's
It
what I'm
does.
saying.
It does.
Always
It is
have to be
annoying.
us
It
to be
does.
the bigger person. You know,
Absolutely.
Put it in God's hands.
But you,
and-
Right.
but you know what? I will say
Come
this,
on.
and it kind of falls because we only have only so much time left, and I do want to talk about some of the other things we've forgotten, but it segues, and it's that it sucks that thing. Why I have to have the conversation? But you know what? Look at other groups. Jewish people have no problem telling you
About
why
that.
I got that yarmulke on my head. Jewish people have no time
But you know
reminding me about the
difference in
Holocaust.
attitude? They are inclusive among themselves first.
First,
They
right.
take care of home first. It
Yeah,
ain't
they
like,
do.
oh, well,
Community tight. Well,
But
our
at the
community-
same, but it's like you can't do one and not like do the other. I don't know if there's like, you just have to attack it all at once. We have to vote.
Nah.
We have to love each other. We just have to just do it.
I'm all
And-
for teaching, but how long do we got to teach?
Well, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes maybe our teaching should come off like a Malcolm X
Yeah.
more so than a MLK.
Right.
Meaning like sometimes to teach someone, if someone asks me why am I washing my hair like that, I'm gonna be like, well, why does your hair smell like dog when it get wet? That's a teachable moment, because then they realize the offense of what you just asked me, right? And sometimes your teachable moment has to be almost an attack. Sometimes a good defense is a great offense.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a way of handling it. And there's situations that we should be able to disseminate which one we're going to use in that voice. But you know when somebody's being nasty in their own little way. And we know that white people, especially at the job, could be very passive aggressive.
That's
so
true.
sometimes I know what I deal with is I'll pull them to the side quietly and I'll aggressively get in that behind. Like, hey, well, let's get into it.
Let's unpack
And there's
this.
a way to do it.
I just want to create our own damn societies for real. Like I'm to the point where I'm not racist. First of all, I don't have the power to be racist. So I don't
Man,
want
you
people
racist
to
in the
be-
mud.
I'm
You know
not
that
racist.
is.
at
You know
all.
what I'm saying?
segre-
Let's
so is
own it.
segregation
I
good?
love me. Like it's not. That's not that. I'm just saying. Can we take care of home first, and can we care to take care of home first? We need to stop trying to go out our way to fit in, and it's to the point where it's like, well, I gotta shucking jobs that I want this job. Like, boss up, do what you gotta do. Black people gotta put in the work. Like, whether it's a book you gotta read, whether it's another degree you gotta go get, whatever work you gotta do to change for the next generation and your kids. You got to put in the work and lay that groundwork and lay those stones and lay those bricks today. And stop this complaining. Stop this make them feel comfortable. I'm uncomfortable with that.
But we definitely just can't forget us. And some of the things we forgot, I won't read them all because of time, but we forgot that schools are still being red line segregated through economics. We forget that a lot of those bills, a lot of various parts of that bill was overturned in 91. Right, for Brown versus the Board of Education. We forget that why we're not watching the NFL and why we're bending the knee. We're not doing it because we care about how Donald Trump talks to the owners. The fact that they're called owners and not CEOs is crazy anyways. But we're doing that because of police brutality. That's why Colin Kaepernick did it in the first place. We forget that, there's a generation that's been given jail versus treatment with the crack epidemic. And those are the things that we ourselves have dropped the ball on, and we need to get back involved. Like, we forget there's an AIDS issue in our community still. There's definitely, an issue with child support. There's 73% of women, we were talking about this when we were eating beforehand, 73% of custodial parents, which we know primarily is women, their chief source of income is the child support. And the issue with that is not that men shouldn't do their part and take care of their kids. They definitely do their part, but it's the fact that the government has set up that 73% that get that money, that's their chief source of income. That means the government is taking. Go
That's
ahead.
a real stat.
That's a real stat.
73%
73% of women who get child support, that's their chief source of income. So what does that say? That we've created a society that makes our women feel good, that say, I'm just going to survive off the money that somebody gives them. I don't want my daughters doing that. I don't want that to be their story, to say like, oh, well, I'm living because I had a child, marriage or not, and I'm living off the money that man gives. You're a smart, beautiful, bright person yourself. You can go out here and get this money, but there's a lot of women purposely staying under the poverty line that make sure they get WIC, food stamps, and all of that. And we have to make ourselves believe again that we're capable. And that the government doesn't have to take care of us. We should force the government to treat us fair and to give us rights to citizenship. But as far as you putting money in my pocket, I don't need Donald Trump to do that for me. I'm a hardworking, strong black man. I am capable of doing things on my own. And everybody on this panel is. And we need to educate that other percent. But these numbers are we don't teach that.
That's real. That's a good point.
It's crazy.
That's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, it goes back on to, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead.
But it goes back to us depending on the government to give us something. Because think about it. They broke up our homes. They made our women think they didn't need us. The government was going to give them all. Mm-hmm. And look, what does it do? We have a child. First thing she thinks, I'm going to get that money. Mm-hmm. He make a little bit of money. I'm getting that child support, boo. Hey, girl, I get this money. But now you're not getting that money because you're not getting it. You're getting it because somebody's giving it to you.
And then we forget that the government wants us to think that way. They keep us in a place that we can't have our own and actually really go out here and conquer our communities.
It's kind of like a distorted understanding, a distorted mentality. I guess some people may view it as, well, my people have been oppressed for years. The government owes me this. But the government is probably looking at it like, we want you to think that, yeah, we give you this, but at the end of the day, it's keeping you stagnant, it's keeping you dependent upon us, and you're going to stay at a certain income level in a certain place. So we may be looking at it like we're winning, but really, we ain't doing nothing but helping them keep us down. And I was not aware of that percentage, though. 73%, that's staggering. That's a lot.
I think the American way is being slave to money. When you do look at the Jewish community, they're not a slave to the money. Mm-hmm. The money works for them.
Exactly.
Because they circulate it. So, a lot of us is like, well, you got to pay me. Everything is a business because, we're a capitalist society. So everything we want everything to be a business or how we can make money or something. But as a community, we were to sit back and be like, you know what? If you don't have the money, I'll give it to you. No harm, no foul. But in turn, because you understand that I love you because you look like me, you also possess that same love to somebody else and literally reciprocate it. But we just don't. We're not going to, and that's why I feel like at this point, to me, I'm all about solutions. I don't necessarily want to make you feel uncomfortable, but at the same time, if you ask me about my hair, my mindset is going to be, I love my hair. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you the whole history lesson, girl. So here it is. I'm going to break it down for you. My hair is curly. Your hair is straight. So I got to have oil to pass through my hair shaft, give them the whole history lesson about, African women and how our hair is our pride. Make them feel uncomfortable. Make them feel like, well, dang, should I be out here making my hair big with volume? Yeah, you should try it, girl. Reverse psychology. That's what they did to us. They made us feel like being dark skinned wasn't great. Our hair wasn't great. But we got to, in turn, show people that we love ourselves. And then when we do that, I feel like, because they want to be us at the end of the day.
Right.
And we're pretty much out of time, but instead of giving a solution, I want everybody to give a challenge. And I'll start with you, Tay. And the challenge I want you to give our people who forgetting, our community has forgot so many things. What would you challenge somebody to do just this week to try to do something to help turn around so many things we're battling right now?
What would I challenge somebody to? That's a good question. Actually, I challenge somebody to pick up a book. Honestly,
that's a good one.
That's something so simple, but yet people act like it's so hard to do. I don't care if it's on a Kindle or audio book, whatever you want to do. Just take in some information outside of Love and Hip Hop, Future,
Amen.
And I love that stuff as well. But I believe in the duality. I can't take all of something and none of that. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to guard your ear gates and feed yourself something valuable and of substance as well. So I challenge everybody out there, pick up a book, start with a chapter, start with a page, then we go to a chapter, then hopefully you can finish the whole book.
Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm. Read a book, pick up a book. How about you, Devlin? What's your challenge?
Man, my challenge, I guess, would be to not focus on the brand so much. Because you look at these young kids today and everybody's focused on what brand you got. Not realizing that our people are fighting to get away from those brands. Mm-hmm. But we fighting to get those brands. Mm-hmm. So stop focusing so much on what you have on and more so of who you are. Think of your content rather than what you have to show. You know what I mean?
Nice. I like that. How about you,
those
Kat?
brands
What's
ain't doing nothing but putting their kids through college.
I'm gonna follow his wave and say, spend less, save more. So start out small. For the first month, I want to save $200. Figure out what you're gonna cut out to save money. Because at the end of the day, we're associated to money. So spend less, save more.
And then for my challenge to everyone would be get involved. You don't like the way the police are policing your neighborhood? You as a black man, join the police force. You don't like the way our schools look? Become a teacher or join the PTSA. That's free. You don't even need education behind that. You just got to be a willing parent. And for those that don't like the way the politics are being ran, if you're able to, join up the community, run into politics, get involved. I think too many people rely on what they can do on social media, not realizing that social media is a tool of the real world, not the world that we live in. You know, this is real life. Social media is just a tool of that. But look, we're over time, and we got the next show getting ready to come on. But look, we just thank you guys for all tuning in today. We really just can't forget the things that affect our communities. Devlin, can you tell people where they can find you if they have questions? Because we like to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, you can actually catch me on IG at Rooted Locks. I'm putting together a YouTube form called Speak On It. You'll catch us there. But yeah,
That's what's up.
IG Rooted Locks.
Cool. Tay, can you tell them where they can find us so that way if they want to continue the conversation, they can hit us up?
Yeah, most definitely. So you can follow our Facebook page at the Nitty Gritty Show. You can like us on Twitter, or follow us on Twitter, I should say, at TBJ_Nitty Gritty, and also on Instagram at the Nitty Gritty Show.
That's what's up. Look, and we thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you keep the conversation going. We need to make sure we educate our people. This has been another great show. I'm really excited about it. Make sure you guys, if you watch it today, make sure you share it so other people can see it. But anyways, it's your boy, Jay DeCosta.
It's your girl, Katniss.
And I'm the one and only Tate Jordan.
And together we are the Nitty Gritty. Look, thank you guys. Be blessed and enjoy y'all Thanksgiving, all right? Devlin, thanks again for being on, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Had his beautiful wife in the studio, Crystal. That's what's up. Black love.
Hey.
Black love. All right.